Hello, welcome back to EPG. I'm, of course, Greg, your host. To round out my series on travel books that aren't really travel books, I would like to discuss this one, Tribe by Sebastian Junger. Now, for those who don't know who Sebastian Junger is, he is an author that did The Perfect Storm. He did a couple other books, and he also made a movie, Restrepo, regarding the war in Afghanistan. And he is a guy who voluntarily gets himself into the shit, as I like to call it, which is difficult, trying situations, and then getting himself out. He's a journalist by trade, but he is not a typical journalist in that he just his prose and the way he writes, it's very, I don't know, it's almost like reading a novel, which is one of the reasons why I like this book so much, and how it basically covers a lot of the aspects of travel. So early in the book, he talks about when he was hitchhiking through the, I guess, west, so outside of Gillette, Wyoming. He talks about a story of a man who didn't have a lot to give, that came and saw him outside of Gillette. And after, assuming or trying to figure out who he was, the man decided to give up his lunch, which he could ill afford to do because he was living in a car. But he took responsibility for young Sebastian and shared what he had with a stranger simply because the man decided to take responsibility for this person. I've had several instances in my travels where I've taken responsibility for people and other people have taken responsibility for me. One of the times is, I mentioned in another video, when I was down in Chile and there was a lot of civil unrest going on. My roommate, who was a journalist, had a fixer in town that got us out of Santiago before the riots or looting could get closer to us. He got us a car and then, got us to the airport. And yeah, basically it was done a lot on trust because I paid afterwards. But they didn't know if I had money, but they just, Mateus, if you're seeing this, hello. They took responsibility for me. And they got me out of a, potentially very dangerous situation. And there was another time when I took responsibility for people. So during Hurricane Ida, New Orleans was shut down for a week. No power in the city. And there was a group of people, travelers, who were kicked out of a hostel because that was part of the deal, is that the city couldn't guarantee anybody's safety, so they just decided to shut everything down. And they told businesses that you needed to shut down. And so these kids who are all at this hostel, they needed to go elsewhere. So I met them at a car rental place because I was trying to return a rental car that I had when I was driving Uber. But again, that office was closed, so I wasn't able to return it. And they were desperate to get out of town. There were no buses running. There was no place to rent a car. Uber was scarce. Lyft was scarce. So they looked to me for help. There was a young lady from New York, a young lady from Russia, a young man from, I believe, Israel, and another from an African country. So they became their own little tribe, and then they needed to get help. And so I volunteered to help them. And we tried to go to the airport, but it was military controlled, so there were no flights coming in or out. Tried to get them to Biloxi, and then because they were trying to get to Biloxi in order to get to Houston. And so I just said, hey, do you guys want to go to Houston? And they're like, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. So I volunteered to drive them, 300 something miles away to Houston. I didn't ask for money. I didn't ask for basically anything. We stopped at the gas station. They volunteered to fill up with gas. Once I got them to Houston at the hotel, they pooled some money together and gave it to me, even though I tried not to take it. And I said that basically this payment that I want you is to just pay it forward to other struggling travelers in your country, because I remembered back to my time when I was a struggling traveler. And it's about community. And that's something that happens when you travel, is that all of a sudden, whoever you were back in your home country, you're not that person anymore, or you can choose not to be that person anymore. And when you're in a new place with new people, you can make those bonds very, very quickly, especially if you're in a hostel or other communal living situation. And that's one of the lessons that I took away from this, is that your tribe isn't your country, or it, may or may not be your family, what school you went to, what job you have. Your tribe is really whoever you can make into your tribe. You can join tribes, you can leave tribes. But yeah, that's the big lesson of all this, is that, again, going back to what I was saying with the history of the Peloponnesian War, how we have human universals. We're all people, and we used to, much more than in our modern age, require group communal living for survival. I'm not saying that getting into difficult survival situations is the hallmark of a traveler. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But we all long for community, and it's disappearing in our modern world. And that's another reason why I travel so much, is that you can create new communities wherever you go and make new friends, um, have new lovers, and yeah, just join a tribe. That's why I love travel, and that's why I hope you love it too. So again, Tribe by Sebastian Junger. Thank you very much for your time, and get out there.